Hey patrons, number 2 on my private gear. After the last one I received a lot of messages with people asking like to continue there and a couple of specific questions. So I'll try to cover a few of these today, and if there's more stuff you want to see, just keep asking. I said it now 100 times, I'm more than happy to do this for you. And obviously I want to do something special for you, so these videos will not go online, but if you have any special requests, stuff you want to see, ask me, no problem at all. So, video. Material. We talked about lights last time, so let's talk about backup lights. I have 4 here. So for a lot of years, stuff like this was the standard. It's a halogen bulb that normally takes 6 volts, and you were driving it with regular batteries on 4.5 volts, so a lower voltage, so less stress on the bulb, etc, etc, etc. Today obviously everybody uses LED, so this became kind of obsolete. And if you compare a modern LED backup light with this, I mean, regarding the output, I mean, that's like a match. I mean, you can basically throw it away. No, I'm not throwing it away. So I have 2 more examples here. So that's one from Scuba Pro. It's with batteries, but that's the one with the floodlight, which you can actually use for video, but it's a really bulky piece of gear, and I'm not like really happy with that. Just found it, so I wanted to show you. So I'll show you my favorite. That's a Subgear SP30, and unfortunately they are not produced anymore. So I have 4 of these, and I take care of them like they're from pure gold. They have a perfect size. If you compare it with these classical ones, they are basically identical. They're made from hard anodized aluminium. They're just perfect. They have the proper connection on the back. It's in the middle, so you can really nicely attach your bolt snap, and they turn really smooth. They give great light, burn for a long time, and they're super robust. So even if you smack them hard somewhere on a stone or something, I never broke one of these, and I never flooded one. So that's my favorite. Subgear SP30. If you find them somewhere secondhand, eBay, whatever, grab them. They are perfect. Another thing important, if you're not really tall, good example is my wife, for example. My wife being a bit shorter, if you use backup lights like this, and also the size of the bolt snap is an issue, and you place them here, they may interfere with whatever you have on your belt, or they even may interfere with the backplate. So if you have a short upper body, that may be too long. So you can compensate a little bit with the bolt snap. If you think about a bigger sized one, that can be a couple of centimeters, but that can be an issue. And if, for example, also on the light canister, so if they start to hit the light canister, actually what happens is they are pressed out like this, so they become an obstacle if you go through a narrow restriction or something, and obviously they can catch line and whatever, and they start to push up the D-ring, and then you have issues clipping. So it's like a chain reaction. And so what I recommend for shorter people or people with a short upper body is use just a smaller backup light. So, and that also shows you quite nicely the thing with the bolt snaps. If you look at the size of the bolt snaps, that's quite a difference, and you can see that you, by adjusting the size of the light in combination with the size of the bolt snap, you can find the right length of backup light solution for yourself. So that's, for example, one of the lights that go in the alien light, and with a regular bolt snap, and that's, for example, what my wife uses. So that works same as the others, but you have a lot more safety margin, so to speak, before they touch the light canister or the argon system or whatever you have there. And I mean, we know about the light capabilities of the alien light, so plenty of light here. This actually, the battery needs to be charged. All right, so that's for the battery. Yeah, somebody asked me if it should be a focused light or a wide beam. I personally prefer the focused one. I mean, obviously Like for example, if you're in a cave dive and you need a backup light, if you have a flood, you probably have a bit better visibility, but with a spot you have the communication tool that you're looking for. So if you have, for example, this one here, and you start giving a signal, it will be much harder to see for your teammates than if you give it with a spot. So you go for the spot one. The next thing I was asked was cutting tools. What I use, obviously as a knife, I use the ISE knife. We have one here, so probably not worth showing it because you've all seen it. That's a black one actually now. The ISE was obviously orange, but you've probably seen it in the shop. So it's a cut-off kitchen knife. That's a couple of euros. If you lose it, if you break it, if it gets rusty, whatever, just throw it away and get a new one. Round up edge so you cannot hurt yourself. I actually shown that there's a video about dive knives that you will find on the YouTube channel that explains that more in detail, but that's obviously also what I use privately. And then if I go wreck diving and I have to deal with cables or things that I probably cannot cut with a knife or with my sorry, with my cutter, I use these shears. Yeah, they're a little bit rusty. That doesn't hurt. And that actually is a cable cutter from for a motorbike or for a bicycle. The steel cables that run to the brakes, and so that's the stuff that can really cut thick cables very easily. And if it's closed, you cannot puncture your suit or you cannot hurt yourself. It's there's no blade outside, so the blades are inside here, so you can really easily grab a cable and cut it off. So that's normally what I have in my right side pocket when I go wreck diving and I expect cables to be in the water. And originally there is it's spring loaded, but I removed that spring because if this one goes off, the spring makes it pop open, and then I have those blades open and I can obviously cut my suit. And so the spring's gone and I made the spongy around there, so that's safely stored. Then reel. Obviously I use these enclosed version that became famous as the Halcyon Pathfinder reel, but I do not use the Halcyon. Why? Because the Halcyon and a lot of the copies that are on the market use this handle from aluminium. And then you have the aluminium handle and the stainless steel screw that also acts as the axle. And obviously if you dive a lot of salt water, aluminium plus stainless steel, you have a current flowing and you have a lot of corrosion, and then at some point they start to be really hard. Also the locking screw here is stainless steel in the aluminium, and that caused a lot of issues in the past. So that's, for example, is from ATS, and the handle is made from Delrin, same as the spool, and all the threads are in the Delrin. And so no matter how long you use that in salt water, you never have any corrosion, because the only metal here is stainless steel, and none of these parts are connected to each other, which means it's a corrosion-free reel, and that's much nicer. So that brings us to the spools. Originally I actually don't have a classical one flying around, but you can remember spool in the early days was this black Delrin thing, and I always disliked the color of the spool because I dive a lot of dark water. I mean, if you look at the freshwater lakes around Munich, normally if you go a little bit deeper it's just dark. So if you lose one of these spools, usually it's a black spool in black water on black bottom, gone. So very early I started to look for spools in bright colors, and I cannot remember where I found these, probably somewhere in Denmark or so. And I started to buy these yellow ones, but still a classic spool design, as you can see with the holes through here. But they were really visible in the water, and I liked that a lot. And then at some point we came up with the ISE spool. I have an original one here, and they didn't have the hole anymore. They were just that actually calls for a very thin middle part, which means you can get more line on it, and we just had that that mold in here, where you can hold it like this. So even with thick gloves, it was a lot of time with dry gloves, it was hard to get these, and then suddenly if you have a little bit too big gloves, they start to interfere with the hole, or they get torn or whatever. So that was the original design. We had them in various sizes. That was a 30, I think. I had a 50 and an 80. No, that's a 50 actually. Also had 80s, but they were all stolen over the years. I think I had, I don't know, 20, 30 of these spools flying around. That's the only 2 left. All the rest was magically disappeared. No, actually, that's a 30, that's a 50, and that's a 10. That was the famous gap spool that we had for a while. And then we came up with the real ISE design, today's ISE design, if I could find it. That's a great one. Maybe we need to pause that video for a second, because I think yeah, still running? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Had a little bit of an adventure back there. The original out of today's ISE spool obviously disappeared as well. I don't know who took it, doesn't matter. The difference is the new one has an axle, and you have like a bottom, so the bottom doesn't move anymore. It's just the spool turning around an axle. Pretty nice design. Elias making him meanwhile, and so that's what we use. I mean, I still use my old ones for personal use, and if these are gone at some point, I'll just upgrade to the actual version. And yeah, if I find it, or if I got a new one from Allah, I'll show you. But it's still also white Delrin, which is super visible underwater, and obviously this bright orange line, which beside the fact it's orange, and that's the reason I like it, it's super visible underwater, no matter what condition, no matter what background color, no matter what water condition. It's really popping out, and it's much easier to follow than the white one. And as not a lot of people use this line, it's very easy to identify your personal line. Okay, yeah, somebody asked me if I use something special. Basically not, but that's something I really like and I wanted to show you. That was came out by White Arrow at some point, and you can measure distances in caves. So if you have line, you actually put that in, the line goes underneath here, on top here, underneath here, and you can go along the line, and it has it counts the meters here. So I think that's one of those speedometers from a bicycle that's put in here. And so if you do cave survey, that's a super nice tool, and I've not seen a lot of these around, so I like that a lot, and that's one of the special things here. Otherwise, yeah, if you have any questions, if you want to see more, anything specific, let me know. Yeah, right now I have no more ideas regarding equipment, so I'll see you on the next regular video. Bye bye.